Hello, everyone. It's Krystal Lee Lucier here, also known as your Home Sweet Home 519 Realtor, Krystal Lee. This is Realtor Life, and I'm so excited that you're here. Guys, we have some fun topics today. So, we're going to be talking about having a blah day and what does that look like as an entrepreneur? Responding versus reacting, listing it up, and I will explain what that means. And you never know. And then we'll talk a little bit about energy. So let's get right into it. Law days. Guys, here's the thing. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, Carly Moore. She's going to be on later this season. And we were talking about the fact that if you don't have all of the human experiences, all of the human emotions, you're really not doing it, right? So as a human, we get to be happy and excited and sad and frustrated and angry and blah and yay and all of the things, right? All of the things. And if we don't have all of those emotions, we're not really getting the full human experience. Now, that's a great logical explanation, but sometimes it can just feel sucky to feel sucky, right? It just doesn't feel good. And as an entrepreneur, as a realtor, sometimes we've talked with Sue's coming. We have Janine Charon on later in the season as well. And we just talked about like how can you speed up that bounce back process. So if you have something, a setback, something triggers you, whatever it is, in the moment or in a couple of hours, for those of us that haven't gotten the momentary snap, what can we do? And so I think the first thing is we acknowledge it's okay to feel left. You don't really have to ruin someone else's day about it, right? Like you kind of do the internal work. Um, and sometimes it's as much as just like journaling about it. We're going to talk about the list that you can make, but journaling about it or doing something that takes you out of this like microscopic look at yourself and brings you into the world, right? So oftentimes if you're, and I've given this advice to people, I've had this advice given to me, if you're feeling like, ugh, or whatever, what did people tell you? Go outside, go volunteer, go be with others, go help someone. Because when you're focused on someone else, you're not focused on you. And all of a sudden, this horrible day or this horrible thing gets a lot smaller. So there's a lot of things you can do just to get out of that space. And one of the things is to make sure that you are responding and not reacting. So what does that look like? So a response is more like, okay, this happened. What do I do? Like maybe I can breathe. Maybe I can go for a walk. Maybe I can listen to this great podcast. Um, but reacting might be, oh my goodness, I'm going to like snap at someone, or something happened, and instead of taking a minute, I'm just going to go for it. And that often ends up creating more problems, right? So if you're upset and you write an email and you don't think about it, boom, you now have two problems on your hands. Um, Oftentimes we'll talk about like if something happens and you really want to respond to it in an email, write the email, address it to yourself, right? Put your own name in the two spot and or the two field, sorry. So you put your own email and then write the letter. Write it. Be ruthless. Be everything that you ever wanted to say. Get it in there. And then save it in a draft for a few days. Go back and read it when you're calm. And you might find, you probably will find that you no longer need to send it because it sounds a little bit aggressive or a little bit outrageous. And you're pretty happy that you did not send it because there's a different part of your brain working when you're not in reaction mode. It's the logical brain, the part that knows that you're going to need to keep existing. So remember that. And also just learning to respond versus react puts you in the driver's seat, right? You get to be in control versus kind of letting your emotions get away with you. So that's the blah days. And again, we're going to have them. A lot of the times though, look at what you're putting into your mind when you're having those kind of days. We cannot control what happens around us, right? We can't. So if you're going to lose a client, if someone's going to cut you off in traffic, if you're going to have a fight with someone, like whatever, we can't control their side of it. All we can control is us, right? So you can do that, do the response, try to figure out your side of things. But setbacks will happen and we have to just be able to roll with it. So then we go into listing it up. What does that mean? Okay, so there's two things. Thing number one is You can reset your mind just by writing things out. Okay, and I'll give you a perfect example. I was feeling today, and I don't even know why, but I was feeling just like, ugh. It was kind of dealing with random leads on the internet for clients where they're just, it's really demoralizing to speak to people that don't consider you to be a person. I will say that. And so we handle leads for our clients, right? Like they come in, we talk to them, we try and make it work. It can be tough though. And then the other part is if for some reason it doesn't work out with a client, we have to kind of take that on. So, but anyway, there's a few things that happened and I just was like, ugh. So I decided to take my own advice and I wrote out a list. And first, I wanted to acknowledge my frustration. So I wrote out all the bad things that had happened, anything that had been an obstacle or a setback. I just got them out of my head onto the page. And then I wrote about all the good things that have happened, right? Things that I'm grateful for, things that I'm happy with, successes, all of this stuff. Wrote it out instantly, started to feel better. And that's pretty cool. And it reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have seen it or heard about it, but definitely look it up. It's called the Book of Awesome. And so I'm going to take us on a little journey for a second back to 2011. Okay, 15 years ago is when I heard about this. So it was sent to me. It was a TED Talk by Neil Pasricha. And it was sent to me as kind of, it was actually not sent to me in a kind way. It was sent to me in a cruel way, almost like making fun of me because I'm very positive. And at the time, unbeknownst to the sender, I was not in a positive space. I was not doing well. I felt like my life was falling apart. I just didn't know where to turn, and I was just feeling really not good. And so he sent me this TED Talk of Neil Pasricha. Now, please Google. You can go to YouTube. Neil, I'm sure, has his TED Talk up there. But he talked about some really hard times that he had had, like really, really hard times, and how writing out a list of things that were awesome to him personally changed the way he felt in the moment. And there used to be a website, I think it's been taken down, which is so sad, but it was called 1000awesomethings.com. And the key was to come up with a list of things that you personally think are awesome and write those out. Start your day with them. Start your day with three of them. So it could be the smell of fresh cut grass, or getting into bed the first night that you've just changed the sheets and they're nice clean sheets, or for those of us who get snow, the first day that you go out in the spring and it feels so nice and warm, or the first day that the snow starts falling. It could be the first time you go for a walk in the fall and you see all the red leaves and the orange leaves. It could be um, it could be just sitting in solitude by a lake. It's literally anything that makes you happy personally. There's no rule, right? It could be discovering that all your socks have been matched up or that you haven't lost any socks in the ordeal of the laundry, right? It could be anything. But I remember listening and going, a little skeptical as we all can be sometimes. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work. I'm pretty bummed. And so I started. I was like, what's the worst that happens? I get happier. Oh, well, let's try it. So I started writing them out. And all of a sudden, just even coming up with them, I'd get like a little bit of a tingle. I'm like, okay, interesting. Um, and it was amazing how it worked. And it really just turned everything around for me. And it really stayed with me. So years later, I went to a Buffini event. So for those of you that don't know, Buffini is Buffini and Company in Carlsbad, California. And I'm a big fan. I've been to several events. But this, I think, was at their peak event in 2022, maybe, or 23, one of those. And Neil Pasricha was a speaker. So, oh my goodness, wasn't that exciting? And Neil was talking to us about his Book of Awesome. So, the Book of Awesome is basically the same idea, except it explains the concept. It has some of the items. And it was just really cool to be able to hear him explain it in person. So when you're stuck, when you're struggling, if you're having a day, start thinking of awesome things and write them down. Please pay this forward. Let people know. You can send them this episode. You can just talk to them about it. You can send them the TED Talk. However it gets to someone, I'm good with it. But there is an entire other side to a bad day that you can get to in an instant. And it's a magic, like it feels like magic because it's amazing. And I think that anything we can do to elevate our experience and the experience of others is huge, right? So that's Neil Pasricha, The Book of Awesome. But even if you don't have time to read the actual book, might I recommend that you at least try the awesome thing? Like maybe it's like you love listening to a certain kind of music, or you love, like, I love playing guitar. I learned to play guitar in COVID. I never thought I would. Fun fact, never ever thought that I would be able to play because I tried to play in 2008, and I tried to play a right-handed guitar. It wasn't going well. I couldn't get the strumming. I didn't understand. And then in COVID, I got a ukulele. So I started right before COVID. I had bought this ukulele and I was trying to do lessons, and I still was having a hard time. But once I got the strumming down, I was able to learn the chords and I started doing it to songs. So I'm certainly not like the best in the world, but I love it. Like I love it so much that like my one thing that I would like to try and do, like everyone has their thing that they're like, oh, if I wasn't afraid, would just to be like whip it out at a party and just start playing and having people sing with me. We're not there yet, but I still love it and I will get there. And when I do get there, I will announce it here for all of you. I promise. Um, but yeah, I absolutely love it. There's a couple of chords that I still can't get. I feel like I need more finger strength or something, but we'll get there. We will get there. And the thing is, that's one of my awesomes. Playing guitar is one of my awesomes because it's so much fun. Okay, so now I want to get into something I said it's called You Never Know. It's a little heavy at first, but it gets less heavy. We never know the impact we have on people, right? And that's why, like, if someone does impact you, let them know. Tell them because it matters to people that they matter to people, right? If someone has done something and has really affected you, tell them in any way you can, whenever you can, let them know because it matters. So I run these realtor groups with Buffini, and I remember struggling a few years back. I think it was 2023. I think COVID brain, it's at some point in the last 5 years. Okay. So, I run this group and I was really struggling with the leadership of this group because I just didn't know if it was the right fit. I have kind of implemented this no a-hole policy in my life. It's taken way longer than it should, but basically, if you don't treat me well, you don't get to be in my life. That is the rule. And since the people that don't treat me well don't really care if they're in my life or not, it works very well. I get to be without them. They don't get to be around me, and it's great. So in this group, I had some people in the group that they just were not good energy for me, and they weren't good energy for the group. And there was really nothing I could do. They wanted to stay in the group. They did not want to create their own group. It was a really tough time because as a leader for a group like this, with any of these, like the structure is like you step up to be a leader, but you don't get paid for it. Um, you don't get a discount or anything. Like it's just you do it because you love helping. And over the years, I've had a few people who they're just very ungrateful and they mistreat the leaders. And that I mean, it's I've been doing it for over 10 years. Nope, I've been doing it for 13 years. And for every one bad apple, we've had like 10 amazing people. Okay, so and they're not bad people, they just don't appreciate the leadership. And that's fine. That's okay. That's my new sentence. That's okay. But you don't have to let yourself be around it. So, anyways, long story short, doing the group, and I was kind of feeling burnt out. So I decided that I was going to step away from leadership. And I was trying to find someone to take my place. Nobody really wanted to take over. Um, and it was really like I just didn't know what to do. I was like, maybe I just close it. Like, what's the best way? So here I am, like, not really sure, kind of feeling like I have one foot out the door. And all of a sudden, on Canada Day, my husband and I are at home, and I get a phone call. And I get a phone call from one of our members' wives. And she told me that he had passed away. And I remember just being in complete shock. Um, because it did not feel real, but he had passed away. And she said to me that she was calling me because she wanted me to know how much he valued our group and my leadership and how it was very important to him. And it was a big piece of his business, his success. He really liked it. And I remember having no idea. And I mean, and this his name was Leo. And I remember Leo being very supportive of the podcast and very appreciative. And but I didn't realize how much the group meant to him. And so in that moment, I I decided that in his honor, we would continue it and we would keep it going. It's still going to this day. And my decision was if I'm affecting even one person, I'll keep going. And same with the podcast. If even one person listens to this and it changes their day, it helps them on their way. They hear something that just changes the game for them. That's all I need, right? Like that is just I'm impacting someone and that is the dream, right? Like we're just trying to help. And that is my motivation for doing everything is just, can I help? Can I serve? Can I guide? Can I lead? Is there something about my personal superpowers, the things that I was born to do and called to do? Is there something here that can help another human being? And so in that moment, I realized we will continue and we'll continue for Leo. And I remember telling this story because very shortly after that, the next month, actually, we were in San Diego with all of the other group leaders. And I shared this story. And I shared it because I know sometimes, even if you're called to lead, even if it feels like you're born to help, sometimes because you make it seem easy, people forget that you need that appreciation. You need to know that you're making a difference. And so if I can urge you guys to do anything, it is let people know that they are impacting before it's too late. Um, that in a lot of ways we continue the group. Um, and even this, like whenever I'm feeling I'm not sure, I just remember Leo and I remember if I can impact one person, it's enough. And so it was kind of cool because today I had, as I said, I had a chat with Carly Moore. So Carly is going to be on, her episode will be aired in the fall, but we were chatting, and I think so. Carly's a friend of mine. We've known each other for years. Um, but I never really, it never occurred to me that I had made an impact. And so today, she was telling me about how my leadership and the way I connect people and my energy and my heart, all these things were so impactful for her. And I had no idea. I had no idea. Like, I mean, obviously, like we like each other. I knew that we were friends and we helped each other and we supported, but it was beautiful to hear this because you don't know if you're impacting anyone. And like recently, I'm signing on with Shut the Front Door to help them with community engagement. And as I've been chatting with Brandon Rudd, I've been kind of like giving some ideas here and there. And then in a conversation, he's like, "Oh yes, and we use this, and then we use this," and it feels good, but I didn't know. And so, can we as people, when things aren't good, we tend to share. But if things are good, we should also share. Um, and sometimes, and I'll say I'm guilty of this too. Sometimes I just assume people get it. Like they know that they're making an impact. They know that they're crushing it. I will often tell them anyway. And sometimes while I'm telling them, I feel silly. I'm like, I hope that they don't think I'm just like, I don't know, telling them like, hey, there's a sun in the sky, like something super obvious to them. I will say 100% of the people that I have conversations with, when I tell them something that has impacted or really made a difference or was really amazing, they were always grateful and sometimes even surprised, right? Because I think we all think everyone else, there's like an otherness, right? Like we think everyone else has it together and they understand and they know that they're impacting and we're not sure. But at the end of the day, most of us are not sure, right? You don't really know if you're making an impact. You don't really know if you're helping, if something that you said really stuck with someone and could really help. Okay, so where just remember while you're speaking, while you're out in the world, we are making an impact and we get to decide, is that impact, are we making someone's day better or are we making it worse? And just to clarify what I'm talking about, we were actually talking about retail, right? So I worked at Shoppers Drug Mart for 7 years, all throughout high school and university. I loved it. But I remember early on knowing that a big piece of why I was a cosmetician. First, I was a cashier, then a cosmetician. Fun fact, as a cashier, I kept getting in trouble for talking with people for too long. Like I was overly customer serving them. So my supervisors would always say like, hey, like we get it, like everyone seems happy, but there's a lineup. So like, can you speed it up? And I would try to speed it up, but it was really not working. And so they put me in cosmetics where my job was to talk with people. And it was actually a really good fit. So, but I remember knowing that sometimes, like, especially if you're working during the week at night, you're the last thing someone, like, you're the last basic thing between someone and their home. Okay, so they've had a day, you don't know what kind of day. They come in, they're like super upset because the tag was not on the shelf or this or that, like whatever it is. You get to be amazing or you get to be not amazing, right? Be amazing. And I used to just have, I was like, yeah, I'm like, that's terrible. Let's fix it. And I just remember like being so nice and people just being like shocked, like, what is happening? Because I think sometimes they're expecting a fight. And you're just like, no, you are absolutely right. This should be here. Let me get a manager. Hold on. Let's figure this out for you. And it was an easy thing to do. And at the end, they leave. They're smiling. You're smiling. Everyone's happy. Um, and I mean, sometimes people are just going to be grumpy anyway. And you don't know. You add a little smile. Maybe they don't crash their car into someone because they're extra angry. Like you don't know the impact. So when you're choosing, know that there's always a way to make someone's day better and make someone's day worse. Now, I will tell you, I have also been on the other side of that when I'm frustrated. I've had a day and I probably didn't react the way I should when something happens, and it stays with you, totally stays with you. I remember being at a store in the last year and I was so frustrated by the lack of customer service. I could have been more gracious about it. And I was just like, what is happening? And I was so frustrated on my behalf, but also on behalf of other customers. And I don't think, if I look back, I think I could have handled it better. And we're all human beings, but that is the goal with growth, right? You look back, you do a review. Could I have handled that better? Could I have gotten my point across and still allowed the other person to have a better day, right? There's always a way. We're not perfect. We are human beings. We are not robots, as we say. But if we can just keep it in our heads, we don't know what someone's going through, right? We don't. Um, I think we also are entitled to be treated well, all of us. And so there is a line between letting people mistreat you and trying to bring a good impact. But at the end of the day, what I think the measurement I always say is if I were to watch this scene back, like I was like an instant replay, would I feel good about how I acted? Right. And if the answer is yes, all day long, great. But if the answer is no, how can you improve on it? How can you get better? Because the thing is, no one's expecting anyone to be perfect, but we do want to grow and improve. And so the next time you're out and about, whether it's talking with a client, whether you're at a store, whether you're in traffic, um, just think about, is there an energy that you can bring to the situation that would make it better? Or is there an energy that might make it worse? And I think remember, like what you're giving out will also come back. So if you're giving out yucky energy, that yucky energy will come back and it may resonate. But if you're giving out good energy, the good energy could come back, and that's even better, right? So it sounds a little woo-woo, I get it, but it works. Okay, so we all have blah days. We do. We all have blah days. And I know for me, sitting here with you guys and sharing some really great things that I hope helps is one way that I get to kind of take myself out of a blah day and hopefully impact someone. Respond versus react, right? So take a minute, sit with it and see like how can you respond to a situation. And I will say when you respond versus react, that's when if you had that instant replay, you might feel a bit better about it. Um, list it up. So write out all the bad things, get them out of your head, right? Just get them out. The joy of journaling. You can do it on a Word document on your computer. You can do a note on your phone. You can write it old school with a pen, whatever. Write all the bad things and then write all the good things. There's a great exercise you can do that Janine actually reminded me of it, which is that you go through every decade of your life and write out all your accomplishments. Because sometimes, especially when we're go-getters, we forget while we're go-getting, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we've achieved, we've succeeded, we've overcome. And it's like we can minimize those in pursuit of the next thing. But give yourself a minute, go back and look at them, and you may be completely overwhelmed by how much you've done already, right? And that's good. It's healthy to look at that. And then you can be even more fueled for the next thing. The book of awesome and like the list of awesome things, huge recommend. Huge recommend. So like for example, I like sunflowers. And I only discovered that I liked them like 4 years ago. I wasn't really a flower person because I was like, well, flowers die. Like, I don't know. And I don't have that ability to keep them alive for like weeks. So I was never sure. But then I found sunflowers and I was like, okay, I just didn't have the right flower in my life. So sunflowers, and I've really gone all in. Anyone that knows me, it's on my logo. I wear one. I have a necklace. It's in the backyard, everywhere. But it's the awesomes. Find the things that make you personally feel good. And like I said, like I'm sure it's somewhere in the archive of the internet. If you look up 1,000 awesome things, or to even just look up the Book of Awesome, they have examples in there, but it will change your life. And then you never know. You never know who you're impacting. So tell people when they impact you. But just remember, someone might be carrying around this hope and this inspiration or something from you, and you don't know it. And you may find out, hopefully, not too late, as in some situations, but hopefully that can inspire you and create more impact in the world, right? So, like with Leo, I often well, in my heart, it's just we're doing it for Leo because to know that someone was so impacted by something that I thought I didn't think I was killing it. I didn't think anyone cared if I stayed or if I goed, or if I stayed or if I goed, if I stayed or if I went. See, this is how you know that this is not edited. This is a very real, authentic conversation. But I didn't know. And then I did. Um, but even with my friend Carly, right? Like knowing how far she's come in her business and how great she's doing, but then to have her attribute some of those steps to being inspired by me, I was floored, right? Like you don't think people are impacted. And remember, we all are unsure if we are impacting. So let's try and share more and tell each other more. And then the no a-hole policy, guys. If anyone in your world, and I mean anyone, is making you feel less than or isn't isn't giving you the energy and the vibe that you want in your world, cut them out. Whether it is maybe there's a business you're working with. I have this right now. There's a business I'm working with, and I got a call from them, and I just had I don't want to talk with them. And I'm just like, oh, that's not how I should feel the customer. Hang on a second. Let's check this because it doesn't work. It doesn't work to have to feel your energy drained, especially when you're paying someone for a service, right? So that's not good. But also just if there's people in your world, like sometimes people will self-select out and it's the best thing for you, right? So it's just who are you going to be around? Who do you get to feel good around? And if you don't feel good around someone, don't be around them, right? Life is too short and our energy is too limited to let it go to anything less than. Okay. Okay. So guys, thank you so much for listening. This is Krystal Lemore Lucier, also known as your home sweet home 519 Realtor. This is Realtor Life, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Thanks for listening.